All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the City Council work session for September 15th for the City of Minnetrista. Present right now is myself, Lisa Whalen, the mayor. Council members present are Brian Govern, Claudia Lacey, Peter Vickery, Kathleen Refkin, and then staff that's present is Paula Bauman, our new city assistant administrator, Gary Peters, director of public works, Allison Fauski, our city engineer, Jasper Krugel, our city administrator, Brian Grimm, our finance director, David Abel, our community development director, and then our chief of police, Craig Squires. With that, we have a few items on our agenda: building inspection cooperation agreement, hardscrabble settlement agreement update, St. Bonifacius fire pension increase request, the drainage issue update, and then a tobacco moratorium ordinance update. We're going to try and get through all of these in 1 hour or less, maybe an hour and 10 minutes. And so I'm going to hand it over to Jasper or David.
I can take this one. I can chat about it. David's got a little more experience about when this was originally done in 2015. So,
Right.
But what's before you, we're kind of doing a check-in to see if this is something that the city would like us to pursue. Really, it's a reciprocal agreement with the city of Victoria for building inspection services. So what that means is that if our team has availability and they need somebody, we can then get our team scheduled down in Victoria and vice versa. We started talking about this, I don't know, a few months ago internally, just because of some of the revenue estimates for next year's building department, with possibly only around 50 homes in Woodland Cove left. So we're trying to find ways of potentially generating a little more revenue. Now, this note that in our budget for 2026, we don't have any budget estimates for this because we just don't know, but it is an option. It sounds like Victoria has a little bit more going on than us, potentially. It's not gangbusters, but they do have some things that are in the queue, like apartments and some more homes, obviously, and things like that. So I think immediately there's more of a need in Victoria for additional help potentially, and then, you know, these things ebb and flow, and potentially in the future we might have something here. But really, it's time based. So let's say one of our inspectors goes down to Victoria. Really, what the agreement will cover is our cost to employ that person, both salary and benefits. So we'll come up with a number that's why this agreement needs to be updated, because some of the old numbers from 2015 and vice versa. So we might end up, you know, if we use Victoria's services, it might cost us more than we actually generate from the permit, but it's just kind of to make both of the cities whole, because our fee schedules don't necessarily match up one-to-one. So a roof permit here might be different than a roof permit in Victoria. So we think it's the fairest way. There is also some language in here for plan review. Right now, there's no plans to really swap plan review, but in a time where, let's say, our building official is maybe out or their building official is out, we could then have this in this agreement so that either city could do plan review. And usually plan review is you know, one of the items that takes more time and generates more revenue and things like that. So it really outlines the ability for us to work together now and into the future. If we do proceed with this, it'd be something where we should check in every year or so and maybe update the agreement terms if there are significant changes in wages. So just to check in so it doesn't get outdated too quickly. So what we're looking, David and I are looking for tonight is just some feedback on this potential, and if the City Council agrees we should proceed with something like this, what we'll do is continue to work with the City of Victoria. They also employ Kennedy and Graven as their city attorney, so we'll be able to share the agreement with one attorney, you know, legal firm, and they'll be able to probably generate something that we both agree to. And then bring it forward to City Council before the end of the year, and then have it in place for next year.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, it shouldn't take much for the attorneys to review, since it's probably not going to change a whole lot other than possibly numbers.
That's what we feel, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it should be pretty straightforward.
Okay.
When you say sharing the plan reviews, would that mean, say, if it's a development and our people might do it for Victoria and vice versa? Or?
No, so what that really means is that if there's a building,
Permit.
that comes in, a building permit, there's a period of time where like the building official reviews the house plans and then marks it up and makes notes and before they start building and approve the plan. So there's that piece. On a commercial property, there's also some plan review and just making sure that it's compliant with the building code and things like that. So
It wouldn't be these broad.
it wouldn't be,
Oh, that's done by David and Nick and our engineers.
Or is-
Yeah.
yeah, it'd just be the like individual, think of it as a structure plan review.
And would we recover the cost of, like, are people using the cars and all, I mean, the total cost?
I'm not sure how that worked in the past, David. Do you know if it was just the hourly rate of the employee?
The hourly rate, I mean, we factored that in. We'll factor that into our number with, benefit, salary and everything. I mean, it's minimal, obviously, in the grand scheme of things, but just got to come up with a number that we're comfortable with, that sort of we can do our best to cover all of that.
Oh, good. That sounds good to me.
Okay, questions? I think it's a good thing, and I think also like the idea of just updating it every year, so that we don't have to keep going over it every, so it doesn't lapse,
Yep.
I guess, because who knows, they may need it, we may need it. And this would probably be cheaper than hiring an outside.
Yep.
Yeah, and remember when we had to do that a couple of times, so this would be better. Okay. Okay.
A lot of nodding. So you'll
Yep,
see this at a
yep.
future, probably November-ish
Okay,
meeting.
sounds good.
Awesome.
Good. All right. We like cooperation, collaboration.
Yeah.
And cooperation. Okay. So next we have hardscrabble settlement agreement update. Who's going to do that one?
And I'll start talking about this one and
Yeah.
Craig will definitely weigh in, and likely David too. So I think as everybody is aware, we have a settlement agreement with a couple individuals that sued the city regarding our code enforcement on Hardscrabble Circle. And really it's related to construction parking on that circle. And what the settlement agreement said is that there will basically, you can't, if you have a permit pulled with the city, you have to park all of your construction vehicles on site, or at least try to. Generally, I've gone through there a lot. Generally, I think that there's 3 permits right now active out there. They seem to be doing a good job. One of them is, if you remember, it's a garage with living quarters on the top that was approved. They have a very short driveway. We issued them what we call the hardship exception. And basically the people that live in the home have been parking on the road, which I think is fine anyway, because I'm thinking about it like it's probably, they're not contractors, so they can park on the road if they want, they live there. But so we went through the process of that and reviewing it and having a letter. But the other ones, from time to time, based on some photos we received, there are people that have been parking on the road. When we do see them, and say we, because I've been trying to get out there probably 3 or 4 times a week, and I know that the CSO and the police have been patrolling, but for a frame of reference, we're only out there for about a 5-minute period of time in any given point of the day, and somebody could pull in there right after we leave and then park, and then we don't see it. And the individual that has been issuing the complaints and the photos and things like that doesn't really want to call us for whatever reason when people are parking there, which they feel are illegally based on the settlement agreement. So there's been some correspondence as of late. There's been some, I don't know, insinuations that maybe they'll sue us again because we're not enforcing the settlement agreement. So we're trying to find a resolution, because it's just the biggest problem is the enforcement piece,
Right.
because we're not out there 24/7. If we don't get calls when there are people parking what may be illegally based on this agreement, we're not able to go out there and respond and make contact. The other issue, and the feedback that we've gotten from the police department, is only part of the circle we placed no parking signs on, kind of adjacent to like the bigger project that's occurring right next to this individual's house, just to kind of get the point across, no parking. They're temporary signs. The idea is that they would be pulled once the project's over. But what contractors have done is they parked in areas of the circle that aren't signed. So when the police make contact with them,
Makes sense, because they might not know.
yes.
I mean, you know.
They're following,
Yeah.
so it's kind of, it's difficult. So from a police enforcement standpoint, they can't issue a ticket if there's not a sign. So one of the ideas was, hey, let's sign the whole thing. I know that was brought up initially. We didn't want to do that. The individual, we pitched that to this individual. They said they don't want that. So trying to generate some solutions, talking with the police chief and this individual and a little bit with Lisa. One of the ideas was to, we'd have to pass an ordinance for this, but have Hardscrabble Circle be parking by permit only. Put a sign at the entrance, because Hardscrabble Circle, there's only one way in, one way out. Have a sign there, basically saying no parking by permit only, except by permit only year round. And then have, the day laborers or anybody other than the construction folks get a permit from the police department, a parking permit. Maybe it's an annual parking permit or something like that, to be determined. And then if somebody's parking on the road without a permit, then they could be issued a ticket. That's one solution. Administratively, running we already run permits for exceptions for no parking areas, and the police have a process for that. So that's something that we could do. I don't know how many different landscaping companies or people that will want to park on the circle, and maybe it'll be too much of a hassle and let's park on the inside on the private property. We don't know. But that would allow the police officers to go out there and issue tickets. Now, this individual that's been sending us pictures complaining about this said the expectation was that the building department would be enforcing this. So,
But they can't.
yeah, and I just want to make sure that we talk about that a little bit, because we only have really 2 people in the building department, and I mean generally they're scheduled out at least a week or 2.
And they can't write tickets.
And they can't write tickets.
That's what I'm saying. They can't write
I
tickets.
can't believe we're talking about this this long.
I know, and the expectation is that instead of a ticket, that they just give a stop work order to, which puts us probably in a problematic situation, because
You can't do that
can't do
either.
that either. So legally, so really, I think we have to rely on the police to enforce it. Try to find a mechanism that allows them to enforce it, because
We could stripe the whole side of the street with the yellow line, so they can't park there.
yeah, we could look at that.
So yellow line along the whole thing.
But what we're really trying to, because we did agree to this settlement agreement, we have to figure out a way to enforce it. I think we are enforcing it. I mean, the expectation shouldn't be that we're out there more than once or twice a day.
I was going to say, what would the legal, if you will, expectation be? Like if we are out there once a day or even twice a day, is that sufficient? I mean, in a court, if it were to go to
Yeah.
court, we could say, well, but I think signing it will also help. So maybe even if you put it at the beginning of Hardscrabble and then maybe several other signs, maybe one on, I don't know, either end of the circle, just to say no parking. And I think the permit thing is the only way you can do it. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, if we want to issue tickets, right? Because that's the biggest thing that the police run into, is they get into a situation, make contact. They can't issue a ticket if somebody says, I'm not moving, because why do I have to? The police will say, all right, well, thank you. And they'll just move on, because they can't really do anything.
right.
So we need to have some mechanism that allows some enforcement mechanism to take place. So a permit would allow that. It's a challenging situation, because I think, to your question, is it enough to patrol it once or twice a day? Well, that's probably more than we do on the average street
I
in
know.
Minnetrista.
Is this part of the police's route that they would do it anyway if this wasn't going on?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, member of the council, we're definitely giving special attention to Hardscrabble because of this decree. And, we're checking the area that is marked, and we would certainly issue tickets there, but there's been good compliance where it's been marked no parking. It's just the rest of Hardscrabble, all we can do is nicely ask to please move. But for us to issue a ticket, there's either got to be a city ordinance or a state statute that would we got to put something on the citation, right? To give us legal authority to issue it. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And we have been logging some of our activity out there, but it becomes difficult doing what we would call an ICR or a report every time we go down hard scrabble. It's pretty time consuming.
Yeah.
But we have been doing it as of late, just with more of this talk that there might be some kind of litigation. But we do check it on a pretty frequent basis and try to get folks to move and follow it.
What would you prefer, a permit or just more signs that say no parking, kind of like on Lotus, where they're every like 8 feet or whatever they are?
Well, I think we'd have to do both, because even if we issued a permit, if we didn't have a legal mechanism to give them a citation, then it's kind of an exercise in futility anyway, because the permit, we're giving them a permit to park where they could legally park. So we would have to have some kind of signage in an ordinance to basically say you can park there. The other thing that makes it a little more confusing too with the current contract, or I'm sorry, with the current settlement is, you can have yard maintenance folks there or routine maintenance folks. So that becomes even more of a challenge for us, because it's like, okay, are you a contractor or are you here to fix the dryer? And so it gets messy. So if it's up to, obviously up to you guys. It's just, I'm more here to say if we wanted to do an enforcement route, then we'd have to have it no parking.
Yeah.
And I think, just to be clear, I think we could get by with one sign on the entrance going in, and then maybe, I don't know if we need one or two in the middle,
I'm just saying,
just various areas, but I don't think it's, in order to enforce it, we don't need, a sign visible at every other sign, because I think that's you should always be able to see it no matter where you're at. There should be a no parking sign visible, and that'd be on both sides of the road. That's what I would call, like, that'd be the definition of sign pollution. That's a lot of signs. If you're familiar with that term, but I think we can get by with minimal signs in order to enforce, as long as our ordinance has that outline for that area.
We have minimal signs now and they're just parking elsewhere and the resident is still unhappy.
Well, they're parking in areas that are not signed no parking. So the only area, if you're familiar with the circle, the south side is where like Jimmy Jam's house was and rebuilt. And then in that same area is where this other kind of 2-year probably construction project's happening. On the south side of the circles where the signs are right now. On the north side, they're not there. So people could park there, contractors could park there, and the police couldn't issue a ticket, or wouldn't be able to.
And again,
The other residents upset about it.
Well,
has anyone else complained besides this one resident?
Yeah, yes.
so on the lawsuit, there were 2 individuals named that live on the circle. We've only really heard from one of them. The one with the resident with the garage with the living quarters on the top that we recently approved. I've talked to them, and they don't seem to have an issue, but I haven't talked to all of the people on the circle either. If we would do a change of parking designation on the circle, we'd have to send out some letters to all the residents and let them know. That might stir them up a little bit and say, hey, why are you doing this? I don't know. But really, we've only been dealing with 1 or 2 residents.
So Jasper, I would think the vast majority of residents on Hardscrabble don't want this, don't want to have to get permits.
I don't know.
because they'd be parking in their driveways.
Right, but let's say they have a graduation party, like
Then
how would that, then
they
they'd have to
could-
call and get a permit?
They'd have to get like a special event permit or something like that, or at least let the police know.
It just seems.
But
And
it-
and how much longer is
Down
this
everywhere.
construction going on?
Problem is, but the
Forever.
problem is that
Sorry.
they can't park no matter, if they have a special event and they have a graduation, a birthday party, whatever, they can't park there.
Yeah.
So if we say that they can by permit, all they'd have to do is maybe, we'll have to figure it out, but call the police department, say, we're going to have this special event, such and such a date during these times, and our people are going to be parking on the road. And then, and then that would solve that issue.
Do they have to pay to get a permit?
No, it's free.
So all this work because one guy doesn't want, and I live on the next road. I drive down Hardscrabble twice a week. And I was stunned at all the no parking signs. It was like, we're making a big point. There were so many no parking signs to the temporary ones.
Yeah, and some of the contractors that are building the one house, I think it's at Stonegate, they put up their own signs to help just managing their contractors, and I think that's worked pretty well. Or is it Stonewood? But I think Councilmember Govern had a question about how long these projects generally last, and it's 18 to 24 months to build their house. So it's a lot longer than like a Woodland Cove house.
But again, it's like I guess we've agreed to this situation. Maybe, did we involve everyone in Hardscrabble when we came up with this? Seems like this is not, Ferndale doesn't do this.
Tonka Bay does.
Well,
They have a citywide ordinance
but
that.
Tonka Bay is much thinner, much,
Oh, no, I know, I'm just saying.
Narrower.
much narrower, and there's houses on both sides on Tonka Bay. Tonka Beach. Are you talking?
Yeah.
Tonka Beach.
Tonka Beach,
There's
right.
giant houses on both sides.
Yeah.
So if they didn't do it for them, and they don't have to, I just was at a big event there that was a week long, and they had parking on both sides. So we are doing much ado for one guy that has nothing else to do. Sorry.
Well, if the lawsuit too, the meat of it was that fire apparatus couldn't get in there. Is that,
That was the claim originally, and if you remember just a little history, there was I think the police chief at the time, Mr. Falls, he's not here, but said there wasn't a problem. The residents said there was a problem. We have to rely, I've said this publicly, like I need to rely on my police chief and my public works director to say, hey, can we get our stuff through? And if we can't get it through, it was stated you can just go around because it's a circle. It'd add a little bit of time, to do that if you need to. But generally speaking, you can get through 99% of the time, even when that bigger project, those two bigger projects were going on. There was a lot of activity, as you can imagine, but everybody was I'd say really receptive to moving if the police made contact with them. They're trying to get out of the way and move on as quickly as they can. But
well, I was thinking that if we get the opinion of the fire department that they can get through, wouldn't that put us in substantial compliance?
Brian, no, that's not the issue right now. The issue is we had made this agreement, agreed to the settlement thing, okay? And so the issue is, how do we want to make sure that we are abiding by the settlement agreement. That's the issue. Whether fire trucks can get through or not is really not the issue. It's, are we abiding by the settlement agreement? And that's what I think we need to answer is, are we abiding by it by having one sign at the beginning and driving through the neighborhood once a week, once a day? I mean, that would be the question, how could we prove to the courts that yes, we are doing everything that we can to abide by this agreement?
Well, looking at the settlement terms, it doesn't specifically call for any, it has things that are calling out, but it seems like that if the issues that were in the original complaint are mitigated by what we're currently doing, then that should be enough.
But they're not. That's what.
In whose opinion though?
By one person.
Well, right. I'm just saying though, if he's saying that police is saying they can't issue tickets because there is no signage for it.
Well, there is signage and they're not parking where the signs are. So the people, like in the agreement, it says temporary no parking signs shall be installed in the areas of congestion, which we did. And no one is parking there. They're
Correct.
moving and parking elsewhere on the street, which unfortunately this resident still doesn't like. So the question becomes, is making this a permit only parking street going to make him happy? Because these people will still get permits and then they will still be allowed to park there. So, if I'm tearing down this huge house and know I'm going to have 20 contractors there, I'm going to get a permit for him to do it. So is he still going to be unhappy?
Well, if I may, I think the idea would be that if they're part of the construction project, like the construction team, whatever it is, they wouldn't get a permit. Unless there was a hardship.
Which is what we would do pending the property, which is what we've done for the latest one. And again, the construction project that's going on now would be grandfathered in because it's already started and going for the most part.
And it's really, the only issue we've had with that one right next door to his house is there was a tree truck that had to park on the road. I think that's the only thing that I noticed. On the other side, on the north side of the circle, there's another 2 projects going on. The one that I talked about, and then another one that has plenty of space on site to park.
So what if the sign said, no construction parking on the road? I mean, what if the sign said no construction parking?
I think we'd still need a permit, because how do you differentiate what's construction parking and what's landscaping, day labor stuff? Like,
Okay.
that's the hard thing. That's really makes it really hard to enforce, because in order to do that, you need to make contact with that vehicle that's parked there. They may or may not be near their vehicle, does the CSO or police officer go investigate, walk around, drive up driveway, see if they can locate this person? Like, how much time do you want us to allocate to that exercise? Where permits,
The question.
if they don't have a permit, you could put something, initially educate, something on the windshield, or try to make contact or something, where they know to get a permit if they're going to park there. And if, they do an ICR and they know this car was here last week and they didn't have a permit, they don't have a permit this week, and then they get a ticket.
Craig, what would you recommend? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Well, Madam Mayor, Member Council, it's a difficult situation. I mean, I could say we could get emergency vehicles through. I haven't personally seen where we haven't been able to. I don't have a large window here of ICRs, but, probably have about 20 in front of us here, and a lot of them are no violations observed. So, I don't know if legal counsel might have an opinion on this, just because I'm not a civil attorney, so I'm not sure what the parameters are about us having possible litigation. But at this time, I mean, we can definitely get through there. It's just the only thing that I can articulate is for us to issue a citation, we'd have to have an ordinance, but
Can we just put more temporary no parking, like Mound does for Spirit Lakes, like the temporary no parking things, and just load the street with those while the construction projects are going on, and then take them away when it's done? And then is that enough to ticket if they park where those signs are?
yeah, if we put up temporary no parking signs, it's just generally 24 hours, so we can't just put a sign, but yeah, I mean, we could put up temporary signs.
Extend how long they're out though, right? Like there's no,
But
because in theory, once one of the projects is done, all the construction traffic will be gone, and then it'll just be normal residents with normal landscaping so instead of,
the unfortunate thing, I get what you're saying, but the unfortunate thing is on Hardscrabble, there's numerous projects going on that are going to take years, and then there's more projects on the horizon coming. So that's the other thing.
right, but until they come,
Yeah, I think we should put up the no parking signs across Hardscrabble, and then that's going to become, then the neighborhood's going to have to decide at some point, if it's just this one individual. And to your point, if the other individuals are like, hey, we don't want this, then they can maybe, kind of
And we have
come
to,
to the
we have to
council.
go
And,
back to the drawing board then?
well, but we've got this Gordian knot that we have to slice through. So I think that would maybe create a environment where then the other neighbors are going to have to speak up, and if it really concerns them, then maybe they can negotiate with their neighbor.
so I think that's a solution that I think will work. When we say temporary signs, I think what maybe people are envisioning are just these maybe stick signs, but
No, I'm thinking of signs.
okay, because of the extent of these projects being multiple years, like, I think we need to put signs that we have out
Yeah, I
there.
think so too.
And I'll just note, that's costs money. Gary probably knows the number, and our staff time to put it up. So, and we're talking,
Costing time now.
I don't,
and
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you guys,
How much is a parking fine?
No parking sign with post is $71.14.
For the sign. Oh, she was asking
Yeah,
how
the
much is
fine
a
is.
ticket?
Oh, I'm sorry, sign, I thought you said sign, sorry.
Do you know, Craig?
I, off the top of my head, I don't quote me, but it's around 75.
Oh, it is?
So it covers the sign.
well, no, I mean, of that 75, how
One
much
sign.
do we get? We-
Are you sure no
20
parking
something.
are you sure $75 for a no parking
Yeah,
violation?
Increase the cost. like-
It's around that for a petty.
We can't.
No, it's set by the county.
Can we complain to our county commissioner that we'd like to be able to charge more
It's
for?
set by state statute as
Yeah.
to how much we can charge.
So I guess I want to be So if we do the signage,
Put the sign.
it'll be, you know, like, what did you say, Gary, for the price, $75 or $70 per
Roughly
sign and
71,
post?
75 bucks
It's
plus our
that
time.
plus our time to put them in. And we're talking about, if we're gonna sign the whole thing, because that's what we'd have to do to limit parking, we're probably talking, I don't know, a sign every 50 feet. Allison and I had a conversation
Want that
about,
at Hardscrabble.
Well, this is the thing, then if all of the other residents don't like it, then they're gonna come in and complain, and we're gonna go, everyone else on your street doesn't want this.
well, maybe we could send something out to the residents and
That's
see if
what I
they'll give
think.
us some feedback.
Like almost a city hall, like a town hall for Hardscrabble, because
Well, that's not going to excuse performance of the settlement agreement.
No, I know.
Even if everybody does.
Everybody could not like it, but we still have to abide by the settlement agreement.
That's
They
what
put
I'm,
the sign up.
The person who brought the settlement agreement to us would have to
would have
withdraw.
to agree. So if the council would give staff some direction. Another idea I was thinking is if myself and Craig and Jasper could sit down with this individual here at City Hall and say, this is becoming a nightmare to enforce. And it's just very difficult. What if there's just no parking all along his side of the road? Forget about the other side. If we could just eliminate the parking around on that side.
Aren't we doing that?
That's what we currently are doing.
But now he's mad at parking on the north side.
That's right. And so
So if
that's
you
why I'm
set-
saying, but I'm saying it's it's becoming huge problem for everybody, not just the city, but also residents. Can we somehow renegotiate the settlement agreement to include the area on the south side?
I would say no, because then you're admitting that you have a problem enforcing the settlement.
But we
need to-
do, but we do.
Well, but he doesn't need to know that per se, because if it came to it later, we could say we are fully enforcing it to our standard. You don't want to admit that, no, we can't enforce it, because if he does sue again, you're gonna be like, we are enforcing it to the best of our abilities.
And I think we are. I think we're enforcing it to what our expectations are. His expectations are just a little bit higher, or much higher than ours.
But he's not the president of Hardscrabble Point.
No, but we do have this settlement agreement.
But I mean, it's at some, how do we get all of the other people involved at Hardscrabble? Because they might all look at him and go, we don't want this.
There's probably people that don't want it,
I know there's people that don't want it.
but that's not the issue right now. The issue is we have to talk to the resident with this, that has the settlement agreement and say, what are your expectations? Or your expectations are too high. We're enforcing it to the best of our ability.
Right.
If that isn't good enough for you, then let's amend the settlement agreement to include your side of the street. That's the only other option,
Right.
unless we put no parking signs all over and then nobody can park
Can
and.
we
think
send
we
a
do-
letter out to every Hardscrabble Point resident stating this person has a settlement agreement with it? Why?
We can share
City.
we could share the settlement agreement. That's public.
Yeah, it's public and,
Say we have the settlement
and,
agreement, the
you
name's
know,
on
he
there.
wants to have everyone park in front of your house. I don't get it. I think that we should let everyone at Hardscrabble know and then invite them all in to talk to us.
Well, thank you.
Yes, who gets to
I would
handle
be
the
happy
crowd?
to. I know,
The
but I
town
don't
hall.
want Hardscrabble to know. That don't want a bunch of signs down their beautiful wooded road and then don't want this guy's, everyone, it's just, this is crazy.
Well, yeah, and what,
Put the signs, and then if no one complains, then nobody cares about the signs, and then Craig's guys can enforce it. And if everybody starts complaining, then you meet with them and be like, we put the signs up, all of your neighbors are mad, we're enforcing the no parking. So
For buying 20 signs.
That's a lot of money. 20 signs is a
Yeah.
lot.
it's
of
gonna be
money.
more than 20 signs.
Yeah.
It'll probably be closer to, because you gotta do both sides of the road.
This is ugly too.
I don't know. We'd have to do some measurements and look at it, but I'm guessing, yeah, between 50 and 100.
immediately in his vicinity.
Has the city attorney weighed in on the sufficiency of our response, like what their opinion is to whether our response is sufficient to meet this?
So I've talked to Sarah about this, and the position is he could sue us
Let him.
again for however he wants. Oh, there's Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. Let me, hold on one second. Let me make sure I got the volume on. She just popped up right as we said her name. That's good.
Yep, I'm paying.
Sarah, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right.
Laughing at us?
Uh-oh. Sorry. I didn't follow the mayor's first rule of the meeting. Give me a second. All right, so Sarah's there. Sarah, I don't know if you can weigh in or not on this.
A little bit. I mean, I think we're doing everything we can do with respect to the settlement agreement. It sounds like people are coming in and doing they have to do like an on-site parking plan for their construction vehicles when they're doing a big project. And then if they can't park everything on site, they have to demonstrate an undue hardship. And if that's the case, then they do get to park off-site. I know that's happened in one instance, it sounds like, and it sounds like this individual doesn't have a problem with that. As far as I think we've had issues with people that are doing work on site that is not like a big project, or maybe it is part of a big project, and then they're parking on the street. And I think that's the problem he's having with this. And, we can't really, as the chief was saying, enforce anything because it's a settlement agreement. It's not an ordinance. So if we want to kick these people off the street, then, we have to be able to have a no parking area, and then we can say they're in violation of that. Otherwise they can park there. So that's kind of the issue with between the settlement agreement and the people that are I guess they're in kind of an in-between space, because they're not parking on site even though they should be, and then they're parking on the street even though they shouldn't be. And we can't really do much about that without having the no parking zone. And I think that's what he'll argue, is say, well, I want those people off the street. And I think that's what he did say with respect to the tree truck, that they shouldn't be on the street. And it's kind of a gray area, I guess. So I guess he could bring us back to court if we don't do something to try to figure out how to enforce that. But I think there is something in the settlement agreement I was reading that would allow, it does say that the conditions don't apply to routine home or yard maintenance and repair vehicles, and then homeowner events such as graduation parties, weddings, or similar circumstances. So I guess, I don't know, I would put the tree truck under that exception, but it sounds like he doesn't think that's the case.
So Sarah, actually then, because of the settlement, what if we had an ordinance that says no construction parking on hardscrabble, and then the police could enforce it? And if they go out and they see a lawn mowing company, they can assume maybe it's not construction. But if they see, I don't know, some big rig with a backhoe on it, they can assume that's construction. And then they could tell them to move or cite them. I mean, isn't that maybe what we could do?
Madam Mayor, I think the issue is what is construction, because obviously this tree truck became an issue. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say that's construction. That's kind of more yard maintenance to me. I know I see them in my neighborhood, and they're yard maintenance. Somebody's getting a tree taken down. It's not a big construction. I mean, it's a big vehicle, but it's not a construction vehicle. And I think that's a problem you're going to have, is people are going to be arguing, well, my tree truck was not construction. So it could park there, So I think there's some debate about that.
Yeah, but couldn't the ordinance state specifically what kind of vehicles are exempt from the parking ban? So you could say lawn mowing companies, tree trimming companies. I mean, could you list them?
That'd be a long
I
list.
suppose you could, but that would be I don't know. I don't actually think of everything.
So if I may, the issue with the tree truck was that I think it was known that truck was part of just the construction site. So they were taking down trees on the home next door. They just couldn't get the truck into the property, and they needed to, park it off site, off the property. So I think the issue isn't that it was a tree truck or not. I think what he's saying is that it was part of the project that was going on next door to his house.
Right.
Which all these things are really hard for us to know, because we don't monitor what's going in and out and who's doing what on a property. We're just kind of there on a small snapshot of time. So, if we see a tree truck, I think we would go to where maybe Claudia was going, or, Sarah was going, that it's temporary and they're just doing some work there that day. But, how are we supposed to know that it's on that site for that project? That's the other challenging thing. I think, so like from an enforcement side, minimal cost to the city allows us to enforce this would be the single sign or maybe 3 signs and then have them do permits. I just worry, we put out 75 no parking signs, people are gonna lose it. And then we just spent, 3 days putting them in, and then we gotta spend another 3 days
Well,
taking them out.
And then the agreement does specifically say that people can park there if it's for an event or if it's for, personal cars or whatever. So maybe the sign we have 1 or 2 signs that say for construction parking on the road, you need a permit. And whether it's a lawn mowing company or it's a tree trimming company, they come to the city, they get a permit, or the homeowner can get a permit and issue it to their workers that come regularly. I mean, I don't know what else you can do.
Well, the cheapest thing and the quickest attention you can get of the neighborhood would be to propose an ordinance and send them a notice. All you gotta do is come up with a notice, send it, and then you'll have your council chambers full of people. You don't have to put signs in.
Mhm.
Which we need to do for
You'd have to
putting
do it
the sign up anyway.
Okay. Well, then let's do that and see what happens.
Why didn't you say that a half hour?
David, come on.
Well, so I guess I didn't think of that. So would the ordinance live in a section of code that would require the notice being sent out?
Who cares? Let's send the notice.
Well, I know.
I mean, just do it.
I mean, we
The
can.
notice.
I mean, we can definitely do that just as a courtesy, but yeah, it didn't occur to me that, no, we'd have to send a notice. I thought it would be.
Well, if you're gonna do an ordinance, you'd wanna do that anyway.
Sure.
At least let them know on their street that they're.
That would make sense, so.
Yeah.
Is that the direction? Is
Yes.
Start there first?
Yes.
When we have the public meeting for the ordinance, I would like to have options to present. So, because I don't want them coming and then saying, we want parking, because that might not be an option. We want to make it clear what the options are. In other words, signs all over saying no parking for anybody or parking by permit. So I want to have those options available.
Those
Well,
are the
the
options.
notice can say too that we're proposing this ordinance based on a settlement agreement,
Yeah,
such
yeah.
and such, so we're not just not making this up as you go along.
I think that would be a good idea too.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. And we're looking at various different options. So please, we're looking for public input.
We'll need to draft the ordinance to have some sort of language, but just know that you can change the ordinance on the fly based on what the
Oh,
people
Okay,
kind of give you feedback on. If they don't want it, then you don't pass it. But at the end of the day, we still need to abide by the settlement agreement.
Which we are, is to the best of our ability, which if I remember correctly, when our lawyer was here, he said, I wouldn't do anything above and beyond how you enforce your normal ordinances and rules and parking. So, I mean, we're meeting the settlement, not to this guy's standard, but well, we can't pay to just have a cop sitting on the street and ticket everyone he doesn't want parking somewhere.
okay. So I think we have a plan. I'm going to move it on because we have 15 minutes or a little more to go through the other 3 items, and I want to get through those. So I think you guys thank you, David, too, for that idea. So, so working together. There you go. All right. Next, we have the St. Bonnie Fire Pension Increase Request.
Yeah. Madam Mayor, members of City Council.
Let's just say that's fine.
So this is,
I read it.
you've likely seen this in the past about this time of year. Based on the fund performance of the St. Bonnie Fire Department, they're requesting an increase of their pension from $6,350 per year of service to $7,100. If they would move to that, their fund would be 112% funded. So the recommendation is to let St. Bonnie know that we are supportive of this because the fund balance of their pension fund will support it.
Why would we overfund that?
Just the market.
It's based on the market performance. So there's inputs from St. Bonnie, which include us, Watertown Township, Laketown Township. They go into a fund. If the market exceeds the amount of money that's getting withdrawn, then it'll go up in the fund performance will be at 112% or, 120%, something like that. And generally the Fire Relief Pension or Fire Relief Association will request pension increase based on that fund performance. So if it slows down, they won't request as much, but generally they want to be a little bit above 100% funded.
I
Right.
get that, but that seems counter to, I mean, if they're doing really well, then we wouldn't need to fund as much.
So
I don't.
we don't need to fund it. So what they're asking
They're
is
checking for a
access.
raise in the yearly payout.
Oh, the payout.
Yeah. We're not funding
We're
it.
not putting more money in, they're just,
Okay.
we're approving them to give the firefighters more when they retire.
Well, and in a sense, we are going to
We-
pay a
yes,
little
we will
more. I
pay
mean,
more, but not-
but we're not funding we'll be paying more based on the payout.
Yeah.
And it's always good to have a little wiggle room too. So even if it was just 100%, if there was a bad year, then it'd be less. So it's always good to have a little wiggle room.
Okay, sure, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
Rather than getting $6,300 a year,
Yep.
now they'll get
Yep.
71,
Yep.
which,
And their pensions are paid out in a lump sum, they're not monthly, it's one check when you retire, here's your money, go away.
Okay, and how does that play out then with this potential?
We're
we'll
gonna
be
talk
talking
about
about that
that
tomorrow.
for 2 hours.
I
we are having a
mean,
meeting.
is this in line with,
Well,
or is it gonna?
They're both aware of it, they've had an actuary look at it, and we're gonna discuss all that tomorrow,
we'll
so.
come back with all of the good news.
So
Uh-huh.
should we really be talking about this today?
Well, we have
Well,
to,
we have to get back to St. Bonnie about this,
yeah.
Okay.
so they need to know, and then
right.
it'll
All
go
right.
from
Yeah.
there.
And so I would say this is kind of separate from the joint venture that we're talking about. And yes, the pension funds from St. Bonnie and Mound are a big issue, and we're going to be talking about that on Tuesday to see how big of an issue and how it could be resolved. And then we'll come back and let you know. But this wouldn't, we
This
shouldn't
isn't an
change.
issue.
We should still give them a raise.
Yeah. And the difference between the Mound pension payout and the St. Bonnie one isn't the issue. The fact that Mound pays out monthly still is what's proving to be the issue. So the difference between the
Right.
6,300 and the 7,100 or whatever it is between Mound and the 6,100 that Mound pays and the 7,100, that's not a problem.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, good questions, and we'll come back with more information.
All right.
So we'll approve that. Is that on our consent?
It
agenda?
isn't, but it'll be on the next.
On the
meeting.
next, in
I just
October.
want to, and I was going to ask, I mean, I don't know if we'll run out of time, but the tobacco moratorium, if we could move that up. ahead
Yep,
of the
we'll do
drainage.
that. Yep.
Sorry, Allison.
That's
I think we'll be fine.
okay.
I think the tobacco moratorium will be a pretty quick conversation, and that is on business side too. So
And that is on our, if we agree to this, I think that is on our consent agenda.
it's on the regular, it's on a business item on the regular.
Any
meeting.
questions on that?
So I can,
No.
so our code needs to be updated for our tobacco, or are you still doing the?
No, we're doing the tobacco thing, and I think we have gotten nods. Go ahead. We'll put
Yeah,
a
we're fine.
moratorium
Okay.
on.
Yeah, do the
So you'll
moratorium.
hear this at the,
Brian, any questions?
nope, at the
All right.
regular meeting at the on
Yeah.
business. So
Okay.
Allison's
That's
up for
good.
the drainage.
Well, mine's quick too, Mayor and Council. We wanted to bring back a summary of where we're at with the miscellaneous drainage items that Council directed us to do. Based on the priorities, the first one we were looking at was in the vicinity of 905 Bayside Lane. Staff's been in contact with the owners of the property where there's an existing storm sewer. We got some more information on that, which is great. Storm sewer is out of easement. So we are working with those property owners to get additional easement in that area. The other thing we discovered when we were out there is that the existing pipe does not go to the property line. So that's why I wanted to bring this back to council, just because originally we were looking at this as a zero cost solution. Because the storm sewer is not on the property line, we would need to go and install a new inlet structure where the existing pipe takes a turn from east-west to north-south, and then put in a stick of pipe to get that storm sewer to the property line, and then install a storm structure there. So we're thinking this might be in the neighborhood of $15,000 to do that work. So we wanted to bring it back to council so that council can ask any questions, provide staff any other direction as necessary. But if council's on board with this, I'm hoping to get out to the property tomorrow because to get some more elevation information on the one property. It's just been, there's a lot of moving parts to this, unfortunately. So we're hoping to come to resolution with that. And then if council's comfortable with staff moving forward in this direction, we would go ahead and get quotes. And then because it would be, we're estimating it to be over $10,000, we would be coming back to council for approval for any expenditure to do the work. Is there any questions with regards to that? I didn't want to go over it too fast, but fast enough that we can keep council on schedule here this evening.
I just have a question. So item 4, where it says the downstream storm sewer, if there's capacity to redirect, blah, blah, blah. What does that mean?
Correct.
In layman's terms?
Thank you. So there's existing storm sewer there. And so we don't know if the pipes are big enough to handle any of the additional drainage that we would be taking to it. Some pump drainage, I'm not really concerned about. That doesn't usually come into the pipe till after the storm. It's that overland, any overland drainage that would come into that pipe system that isn't going there now. So that's the due diligence that we're going through with the existing network there. So, and then as it drains to the lake. So we don't have all the information, but we've got good information on the existing drainage network in Jennings Cove. And then we're going to just kind of take a look at the 10,000 foot level at the system that goes down to the lake.
This would come out of the stormwater fund?
Yeah.
Would there be legal costs too of getting the easements and writing all that?
And what about engineering?
So there are some engineering costs with this. I think we're in the neighborhood of, going off memory here, I think we're somewhere around $1,500 so far in engineering fees of, visiting the site, getting the information, that sort of thing. Legal fees, because we would be getting the easement at zero cost. So that's good news there. So we've been moving along through there. I think the city attorney's office might have a couple hours into the easement agreement. And then we've got the surveyor to go and get the easement description, probably a couple hours there. So there are some additional soft costs, but I haven't gone and put pencil to paper because.
So maybe around 20 grand for everything.
Sure. Yeah, and I was focusing more on the construction cost because that would be the trigger as far as what we would be bringing back to council for authorization under contractual law. But yes, certainly there's more engineering and legal costs associated with it.
Okay, council, are we good with them pursuing this?
Yep.
That's great.
Okay, all right.
And Madam Mayor and Council, the other two items included in the packet, Minneapolis Avenue at 2 locations, doing some work through there. I believe this is all information that we shared at the last time moving forward. We don't have an exhibit put together for this because I've been putting priority on the Bayside lane drainage. But with respect to Minneapolis Avenue, the fire lane, council direction was to go and see if there would be a cost share opportunity with the watershed district. So we did reach out to the watershed district, and they indicated that when the initial project was completed in 2011, the agreement states that the city is responsible for maintenance, so they would not be willing to participate.
But it actually says we're responsible for maintenance for 5 years.
70 feet of riprap is $100,000.
Gary can get it cheaper.
Where were you when I was putting in riprap? That's so expensive.
Seems expensive. And I guess if we're going off the agreement, why wasn't it kept up better since 2011?
Well, with regards to the fire lane, and I don't know all the ins and outs. I wasn't here at that time, so I apologize. I'm not deep into the details on that, but from what I can tell, there wasn't any, there was no material put down in the end of that drainage way. So what was done upstream wasn't done at this location, and so this is, we're looking to mitigate that erosion that's taken place by extending that project, or, the work that was done
The
previously.
watershed's okay with that?
Well, we would have to go through the watershed
That's why
district.
they didn't do it. They didn't let us do it. The watershed didn't want that.
Well,
You didn't
see,
let
that's
us,
key. So if they didn't want us to do it then, and now
Yeah.
they want us to
Those
do
are
it,
the
then they
same.
should have to help pay for us to
Close.
do that.
So this,
So wait, let me ask you, what did they say we couldn't do?
Well, extend the riprap all the way down to the lake. I think that's what you're talking about, right?
what we were looking is to put in like a rock pool. So like you would,
On figure 4, you're talking,
yes.
Fire Lane on Minneapolis Avenue, okay?
Yes.
Mhm.
And so there was, the idea was to make it like a pool. So you would put in a dike or something of the sort, a ditch check is the word I'm looking for, so that you would have the water pool upstream, and then slowly dissipate down, or slowly drain down the fire lane, to remove some of the erosive force of the water going through there.
You're going to put it, yeah. Mhm.
So is that a yes to
Some-
David's question?
So
Check.
that's what
Check
we were,
dams.
check dam, thank
Yeah.
you. So that's what we were looking to do. And again, because we haven't prioritized this, I haven't gone through all of the components. Of course, I did send this to the watershed district saying, we've received a complaint, this is what we're looking to do. So if this wasn't a permitted activity back in 2011, when the project was initially done, we can certainly have those conversations. We're just. quite
What else
frankly-
can be done? I mean, yeah, because of the steep slope, there's really nothing else you can do is put check dams in there, and that's going to slow down the erosion, which is then going to slow down the sediment going into the lake, which of course is what MCWD wants. So I don't understand why they would say no. I mean,
I misinterpreted. I thought you were trying to put riprap all the way down to the lake. There was check dams there before.
okay,
So we got a grant from the watershed district, if you
Okay.
remember. So that's why the 5-year maintenance was, we're giving you this money, but you're in charge, the seeding and keeping the
Mhm.
debris out and all that sort of stuff. They didn't want anything to do with that. So it was a grant that we got. from
okay.
them.
I remember it's before my time too, but I was informed that there was a lot of, that project was done more for bank erosion on the sides.
Yep.
And they bundled sticks together and, they took bundles of sticks and actually, put them on the sides and plantings and stuff like that to help the erosion there. Was something new they were trying. That's why I was understanding it, that was more for the erosion on the sides going in. It was,
Is that
actually
is that for figure number 4 or figure number 5?
the same thing. You're looking at the channel at the end, but it's
Oh,
where
it's
they
the
did
same
this was
one?
more
It's the same-
upstream of this, where the bank is higher
Mhm.
towards the Amon House there on 51. I can't read it, but the next one to the east there, because it was starting to erode away. That was my understanding, and that's why they did this bundle sticks. And I talked to Mike Pollock, our former water operator. He was part of that project, and it was a lot of work. Bundling sticks, and basically putting rods through them, holding them into the banks, and that's what they did through there to help the erosion on the
But it
banks.
didn't work. It didn't work then, yeah.
It worked on the side, but I mean, you're still, they didn't really do nothing at the end there to slow that,
Exactly, yes.
slow the water down there, so.
Right.
So the section where we're seeing the erosion, those bundles and the ditch checks weren't installed. And so we're just looking to put one more ditch check in there, similar to what was done upstream.
Okay, it's confusing. I'm sorry. The pictures are confusing.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
sorry.
So would
Yeah.
the best course be to check with the watershed district that they want us to do this?
We certainly can, and that would be part of the process of doing this. We're not there yet. I just wanted to bring back an update for council to let you know where we're at. We haven't put anything out for quotes yet or permitting, just because of the amount of work we've been putting into the Bayside component. But that certainly would be part of the next steps for this Minneapolis Ave area.
Okay. Well, I think council, I think we should continue to work on this and come back and let us know what MCWD says, and then find out if you can refine the numbers a little bit better, including engineering costs and all of that. And this one, there wouldn't be any legal costs, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. It'd just be engineering and then construction, estimated construction costs, and if MCWD will allow it, so.
So does the council want to see updated numbers before we request quotes, or would council want to see updated numbers after we've quoted the project? So you would see actual construction costs, and then, because what we were anticipating for this work is we wouldn't be preparing a full plan and specifications that council would be approving. It would just be an exhibit with a description of the work to be done.
Okay,
That's fine.
that's fine.
Just to
Okay.
make sure we
Yeah.
know what MCWD says.
Correct.
It looks
Right.
like it would be a really difficult place to get equipment in.
Yep.
Mhm.
So estimates could be a lot higher, or quotes could be a lot higher than an estimate.
Yeah.
That's a good point. We're trying to incorporate that into some of the cost, and that's why we're seeing, the estimated cost for Minneapolis Ave fire lane is because to get equipment and materials down in there to do the work, we're taking what we think is a pretty good educated guess, but we don't know. So again, because we're not going to the extent of preparing full plans and specifications, we're at I think the council and city is at a more nimble, is a little more nimble in this, because you don't have that investment of, soft costs of time to put into preparing those plans and specifications. So we would be able to get quotes for the work, and then council would have actual quotes for the construction costs, and before considering award. So I think that might be a better picture awarded to council versus what we're putting forward as estimates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you'll come back with some quotes.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then fairly quickly here, the last item was with regards to the southeast portion of County Roads 151 and 110. The council direction given was to take a look at addressing the I&I, inflow and infiltration into the storm sewer. That goes between 810, County Road 110 and 555. Extra 5 in there, County Road 151. And so we did reach out to, again, Hennepin County Asset Management. We did put in a request to have this, to have them include this for funding. We don't have a response yet. They're indicating December is when they would be evaluating funding requests within the county. So, again, and the initial ask was a no, and we've asked again and won't hear till December. What we're estimating for to fix the I&I in this area is 82,000.
How about also, so we'll wait till December,
Okay.
but how about also Met Council? Do they give us any money for I&I reduction?
We can apply for that, but a lot of the times those are funds that you get penalized for not doing it, and then they just give you your money back when you do projects. We can apply for it. We've been lucky that we do not get a penalty for that. So,
Right,
but we can apply and see what they say.
see what they
So,
say. Say, we've been really
Yeah.
good, so why don't we get some money?
And I'll have to take a look at that, because I know communities that are currently under the Met Council and I&I program, I believe they're going to, re-up in December. So it's along the same
Okay,
timeframe that we would be hearing from Hennepin County. So if I'm hearing council's direction on this item 3, we would be putting a hold on this until December, until we can find out
Right.
about cost share opportunities.
okay. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, that concludes all of our items on our agenda, and if you would like a little break, we can be adjourned. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Lacy. Is there a second?
Second.
Brian beat you to it. Brian Govern. Thank you. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0, and we will reconvene at 6:30. Good questions. All right. I think there's food back there.
Oh, boy.
So where did you go now? Where was your trip?
Well, we just kind of went across from, we went to Brussels.
Oh, this was your Europe
Wow.
trip.
I have to look at that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We were there.
That's what you might need, the power of the rest of the neighborhood to
Yeah.
tell this man.
It's the same. Yep.
I'm confused.
So
They had
they're going to be able to sell other drinks other than their wine at
I
the.
I'd give like $1, sort of like when.
Yeah, we've had on sale, we've had off
I'm just
sale,
looking
flash
at
on
private
sale.
property.
Damages were $1.
This will be, I think, our only.
I'm just looking to see what it, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they've never had one. They've just been able to sell their wine.
Wall Street.
Probably 1.5 million. Anybody grants for like private, they probably just help with repairs of underwater filtering, wastewater treatment systems.
Came up beside me, I can't remember. I thought, you know,
Anything was like he shows us money, he would take away his hobby or something.
I mean, there's nothing otherwise. so.
A reputable judge, what would the damages be? I'd say here $1, this is your, you know what I mean? It's so ridiculous.